Okay, we're recording now. Okay. We're live, Mr. McGlue.
Oh yeah, live and alive.
Indeed. So, living the dream.
Oh yeah, dreaming, believing,
Believing, dreaming.
breathing.
Pass me one of those guitars.
Take a nice diaphragmatic nostril breath.
With my blocked nose.
It's gonna unblock your nose, Jenny.
Okay. The audience loves it. And welcome to Phlegm with Jamie McGlue.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Okay.
pass me one of those guitars, if you would.
There you go. Come back in. Come into the frame, Jenny.
Ah,
It's beautiful.
oh, there we go. It is a little bright. The destiny. The way we dream is the part of the song. Turning pace, cleaning out the dregs, licking up creamy, frothy, creamy dreams, creamy dreams. Tell him he's dreaming of cream. But what does it mean? Oh, dreaming on in divine rendezvous with Jamie McGlue. And possibly for obsessed, not McGlue.
Potentially what, Mama?
For obsessed.
Indeed, sure.
Or for inspired.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could hop her in the shadows if you would.
Oh yeah.
Although that is in the shade. Claire will be part of proceedings. So, all right. So we're going to begin with a discussion of so crazy things that have happened that we just remember in dreams versus I haven't written it down. You know?
Yeah.
So like one thing would be, I remember a very vivid dream where I don't really remember what led up to it, but there was this sense of it's very visual and kind of engaging, and there's all these things going on, like plot lines, and then there's this sunlit kind of scene, and some guy is kind of like very tanned and kind of baldish and like quite big but healthy looking. What's that guy? Sri
Yukteswar?
No, what's the guy? I think he's Muji's and Gangaji's guru or whatever. Sri Harilal Puna or whatever. Okay, don't like. Yeah. Anyway, something like that. And like
this guy's in your dream.
This guy's in my dream, and I'm in his dream.
Yeah.
This guy, he says to me, hunger is the mind. And I don't know what led up to this, but it's just this moment like the guy says to me, hunger is the mind. And then I have this kind of like, I'm like, whoa. And I kind of have this like kind of knee jerk, almost like I'm acting kind of response. But how can that be true? This dramatic thing. And he just looks at me and kind of leans towards me. Doesn't say anything. And that's how the dream is. Well, that's what I remember. That's all I remember from it. Like, what's that all about? That's like safeguarding my evolution or something. As a, Richard Dawkins. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if that is your mind emptying the trash each night, that's some pretty profound trash. Hunger is the mind.
Some treasure in that trash.
Oh yes, very much so. That's
yeah.
very deep. Something that came to mind would be
Came to dream.
It's
just come to dream to me that.
I was just dreaming the other day that you said. So basically, what happened? This is very visual. So there are ones where it's more like a poignant emotional revelation, you know. But this one, I just remember being on like a BMX, and I was like a wizard on this BMX bike in Duncraig Senior High School, basically.
Makes sense.
And I was like going around at a huge pace, and I was kind of like doing tricks with my wheels on like statues and things which were there. And then at a certain point, I make my way. I no longer have a wizard hat, but it's gone from like seeing myself in the third person to being first person, and I find my way into this sort of temple thing, and then there's a huge flood, and or at least I was near this temple. Somehow I end up sitting on top of this giant tortoise or giant turtle, one of the two. And then a flood happens and everything is suddenly underwater. I'm looking around 360 degrees around me, and it's just boundless ocean everywhere. And I'm basically serenely on top of this giant tortoise.
Turtles all the way down.
Giant turtle. Yeah. Which one's got the
the cute
turtle?
ones. I think it's turtle.
Yeah, giant
It's
turtle.
like the Galapagos turtle, whatever, the one that lives like hundreds of years or something.
But yeah, it felt like Atlantis and Duncraig or something. But yeah,
Atlantis
that was
High School TV show. Atlantis High.
Atlantis High. Yeah.
Just a bunch of like
That
moving
would go
teenagers
on,
back
like-
in Atlantis. Just like all this esoteric stuff in the background, like the teachers having conversations, mystical geometry. The kids just being like, "Oh man,
That'd be like
positive wants me." I know.
positive brainwashing. Positive programming. Okay, so
that's very mystical. I like that turtle one.
now what about something you want to go more things you remember from dreams, random things?
Yeah, just kind of
What else you got?
like crazy things that have happened. What was there? Oh, I thought I had another one to mind, but.
Well, I always feel like why you think that I might distract you.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead. Think. Talk to me.
Basically,
Talk to the good people.
I think of this time where it was like I became lucid while I was dreaming. I became aware that I was dreaming, and I was flying around, I think, the grapevine top of, you know, the sort of patio kind of roof, grapevine, beautiful green lusciousness, and I was floating around it, and then I decided to fly towards the sun and just keep going, and as I was getting closer and closer, the feeling of the most ecstatic, beautiful love I probably ever felt was just like engulfing me, and it was just like this bliss, this like complete surrender, happiness, flying towards the sun. I realized the sun was like God, or was God, and it was just this shining white light of beauty and love. And then later on in that dream, I've like forgotten I'm dreaming, and I'm like just doing something mundane again. But yeah.
Nice.
So
Beautiful.
I think you can reach emotional states in dreams because it's in your subconscious. Sometimes it's some of the most like alive you've ever felt, but you were dreaming, and you stand to forget that you've experienced these things.
Yeah, for sure.
So we live a third of our life kind of unconscious,
and
we're having all these experiences,
but we're unconscious when we're awake as well. Like most of the time, you know,
right.
Most people. It's like we assume there's only one level of dream, of course. We assume there's only one level of dream, but it's like, you know, like normal waking life is just a dream to like the spiritual awareness, where we're being like, oh, we're all one, like I'm just, you know, part of like that connection, just the peace consciousness. So one, I would say magic. I remember doing magic, like lights and stuff, and like fireworks kind of stuff, energy, and it's coming out of my hands. And it's one of those things where I'm not sure how visual it was. Like sometimes more like the idea of what's happening or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But like I see colors when I think of it, you know. But on like some hilltop kind of thing in like, you know, starry night or whatever, and just kind of like seeing all the flashes, all this stuff. Almost like it was third person though. And then flying, just amazing. And like I remember, from what I remember from my flying dreams, it's been like swimming through air, sort of, you know. Not like a bird or something, but yeah, like kind of like, but just kind of like you don't need to push so much. There's like a bit of momentum, almost like a bicycle mixed with swimming bicycle. You can just like kind of put in a bit of work and then just coast. Just be like, whoo, and going down through clouds and stuff, like jumping down to the clouds, just going whoa, whoa, and then being like, wait a minute, I've got a lot of momentum. I think I could just fly, you know. And maybe that's what spirituality is. It's just nose diving down. No man, you're gonna fall. No man, I'm gonna fly.
I'm using this energy.
Yeah. And then, I was thinking there's a dream where I remember being with, it was almost like we were out the back of, I was out the back of some place, and Jay Coonan was there, and we were like crouched behind some rock because people were coming to kill us, and just killing people. And I remember like looking at him, realizing like, oh, we've got like 30 seconds left. Like this is the end of like the life that we've been living. Being like, there's this intense kind of like terror, but like it just kind of just naturally, just kind of immediately just became this, you know, raising the volume of like this kind of appreciation. It was like very kind of scary, but like very peaceful, because it was terror, but peace was bigger than the terror or something. You know, it was just like this life to the terror. Maybe it came briefly or something. But it's like that's just a dream. It's like that's that's one of the most emotionally profound experiences I've had in my life. Yeah. This one anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd say there are all sorts of experiences and things I felt in dreams. And I would say, some things like smell, I can't ever recall smelling anything, but I never, you know, if I was lucid dreaming, then I could choose to do that, and I think I'd be able to experience that through the collective consciousness. You know, it's kind of like the data is just put there for you if you tap into it in a lucid dream, you know? I want to know what it feels like to be a bird flying in the sky, and then you feel it, the tactile sensation, all this, and it's like the reservoir of the consciousness that we're all part of, that you can like, it's giving you information almost to feel in your dream.
Like if anyone wants to read a book about this, what's that, like Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self?
Robert Wegener.
That's like, seems like very crazy, profound stuff. I only read a bit of it, need to get to it.
Oh yeah, it goes deep. I would say something interesting now, this is a little spicy, but I had a dream that I basically had sex with someone before I'd ever had sex in reality, waking reality.
Whoa.
And I would say the experience was pretty similar later, and that's when I reflected on. I was like, that's pretty interesting. How did I know it would feel like that?
Huh.
You know.
Interesting.
I know it's a little, but
A
interesting.
little sexy.
A little sexy.
Now I know this is a little sexy, but I'm just gonna say. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Any other mad like off the? Oh, I mean, what about the Old Lang Syne one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to,
Well.
you know,
Yeah. For
get that
sure.
off our chest and then
Yeah, and for one thing, I'd say like I've
fly on.
had conversations with deceased friends,
Mm.
you know, or like beyond the veil kind of thing, and like whether it's in imagination or you think it's a real somehow like actually that your energies, both your individual energies, are communicating and connecting in that situation, which is what I think it is.
Yeah.
But I've had that. I mean, yeah,
Some element
flying
of
or
energy
like
is-
flying all through the sky, flying out to outer space. You know, and then like my feeling the G-force and the gravity of like feeling the experience, like, oh my god, like being in an elevator multiplied by a plane or something, and then my clenching my jaw and my tooth breaking and realizing
Oh, I hate
that I had broken. Actually, I'm thinking that I actually broken my tooth from clenching because I was having this dream in my bed. I wake up in Scarborough, run to the mirror, and there's blood everywhere, and then I wake up and I'm actually. I didn't just wake up in Scarborough. I dreamt that I woke up in Scarborough and had like my tooth broken from the dream.
But the plot twist is you actually do wake up in
Yeah, I
Scarborough,
wake
just
up
another
in
plane
Scarborough,
of.
and I'm like, the dimensions.
It's like you're changing radio channel. You're just like slipping through.
Exactly.
Almost in reality.
Sometimes it does feel like you're literally coming back from another dimension. You're like, oh my god, I just like bounced into this total other frame scene. But yeah, so
we'll get to that.
The Old Lang Syne thing.
Yeah.
I think was I don't know how lucid I was, which is an interesting thing. Like as in lucidly aware that I was dreaming while I was in the dream. I might have been, but I don't know. But I was basically just floating in. Is this one? Open it up. That's nice.
Oh yeah.
That's nice energy. I basically was in lotus posture, levitating in the sky, or like in the street, like maybe a meter up or something like that, maybe 2 meters max, but probably lower. Anyway, I was levitating and serenely gliding in the air down this cobblestone European street, and I was singing Old Lang Syne, which like, you know, Old Lang Syne, my dear Old Lang Syne, we'll drink a cup of kindness yet for days of Old Lang Syne. And I was just like serenely singing that, floating down the street, and to like the astonishment of all the people around, who were just like, this guy's like flying in the sky, you know. And it was this beautiful, I don't know, majestic feeling of like some sort of triumph, and it just enacted through like my dream, where I don't even think I was aware I was dreaming at the time. I just woke up and was like, wow, that was crazy, you know. And then I ended up coming to Europe soon after that, so it's interesting that it was a European kind of street, you know, and this Irishy song.
Yeah, calling you home, ancestral mathematics. Come hang out with me for a while. All right, ancestral mathematics, if you insist. You have got lots of good places for making music. Yeah. So, all right. So, oh yeah, one thing I was going to say is like, I remember like I remember thinking, I don't remember this, if it's one of those things, right, like outside of my current awareness, but I remember feeling and thinking that I could see, or that that every now and then I would see things in the future in my dreams, you know? Did you ever have that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe there were like foreshadowings of things, but nothing huge, like American Dream.
Well, that's the thing, because I don't remember that even that clearly, but like have the sense, and it's written in my dream journal. It said sometime before November 8th, I think it said, dreamt Donald Trump became the next president. And that's in my dream journal. You know, I'm like, what? Like, but it's vague, but it's like...
From what date was that?
No, but I wrote it like post-dating. Like, because I think, I don't know, what do you remember about that situation?
I don't know, it was ages ago, I don't really remember too clearly. But
think it was before, but of course that's 50-50.
Was there another situation you remember, like dreaming or something of the future?
Well, no, but I just remember being like little and kind of having the feeling or the believing that I every now and then would like see things, and then something would happen. But I mean, you're a kid, who knows what you're thinking? You know, honestly, like pretty dreamy in general.
Either way.
It is plausible for sure. Yeah, it could be either way. Yeah, definitely.
Or something in between.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, yeah, it does seem like there's some element of truth to it. But yeah.
I can see the future, man.
Other mystical things. I remember being a kid and like looking at the Mars bar competition. This is one thing which happened for sure. I won an enormous amount of Mars bars because I would just spend like 10 minutes watching the Mars bars and going, which one feels more like, because there's a 1 in 6 as a winning wrapper, and in the first round of it, like they would give you new ones in the competition, and so you could like get on a winning streak.
Yeah.
And I did that a few times. Yeah.
You kept changing you'd make.
After that, they were like, oh no, there's some that have a competition, some that are plain. If you win, you get a plain one. Yeah.
Right.
But there's I don't get it. But anyway, yeah, like kids have some sort of connection to these things. So, will we read some specific dreams from our journals? An amazing thing to do. It seems to be the first thing you should do if you want a lucid dream, where you can basically become awake in the dream, stay calm, you don't get too excited, so you wake up, but you kind of, I'm aware in the dream, okay, and just kind of settle into it and kind of try to anchor yourself in there calmly, and then you can experience kind of whatever you want. It seems, and you can kind of just say, dream, show me this, or whatever.
It's virtual reality, or
right.
Like
organic virtual reality.
Yeah, or what's that? Endogenous virtual reality.
Interesting.
Like produced by the body.
Yeah.
Or mind, whatever.
Yeah. So, but like dream journaling seems to be the first thing, right? Like you just record, and it's incredible how, you know, when you start the practice, like you go, I'll put a pen and paper next, or pencil and paper, whatever, or book, even better, get a book, a beautiful book for your dreams, and a pen or pencil, but pen is good, right next to it, and you wake up in the morning and you're just out of your dreams, and you know, maybe you stare over and there it is. You go, what's that book they're doing there? Oh yeah, my dream. And it prompts you to like write it down, you know, immediately. And at the beginning you might just be, oh, field, does it feel, scary, hooded guy. Hungry Jacks, yeah. Yeah, and like, yeah, it's weird how they all fit together so well, you know. And then you're like, okay, and that's all you can remember, and then it's gone. But like if you were to wait 5 minutes and then go, oh yeah, I'll go get that book out off the shelf and, you know, write down my dream, you go, what was my dream? Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. But then you forget you even remembered it in the beginning. Like, did I remember it immediately after waking up? Like, I have no idea. Probably not. Yeah. But you do, you know, and if you write it down, and then each time you do it, it gets easier and easier, and you can build into phrases, and your memory, just by practicing it, you begin with like small details, but then they just get like, it's a flood of detail. And you can remember them even if you don't write them down immediately in some cases, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, in general, you become more aware of the time that you're dreaming and that influence in your life, or that aspect of your life, like that experience, just remembering dim little things.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, the more you write it, the more, like, I guess the more, vividly you can describe it. But sometimes you just feel like doing it short, maybe you're really tired and you're like, but you remember something, you just write 3 words down. Other times you wake up and you're like, oh wow, and you just write full sentences just describing everything you remember. And I generally would just do it from whatever I can think of, whichever scene at that moment, instead of trying to put a chronology to it and like, oh, which came first, because time is weird in dreams. Sometimes in my dream journal, the events that happen in the latter half could have happened in the first half, and vice versa, you know? I just sort of, whatever I remember, I start writing and express that scene.
That's
where
right.
The next scene could have actually happened earlier. It's like a Tarantino film or something, I don't know.
And
so you more write down, then you can become lucid and aware that you're dreaming when you're in a dream. For some reason, writing out your dreams makes you more aware, and you click when you're in the dream. You're like, you notice something strange, typically, and be like, that makes no sense. Oh my god, I'm dreaming. And you're like, oh shit, wow, here I am. And then you can calm down, and then you can be like, dream. What's my dream mission that I repeated to myself as I was falling asleep? Oh yes, dream. Show me what I need to see. Or dream. I want to experience what it feels like to be a bird flying through the sky, or something. And you can, and sometimes you just get something else that's not exactly what you asked for, but you just get a response, and it's like goes in a certain direction. But
yeah, it's good stuff. Don't recall what I was
Sorry
saying.
if I interrupted you.
No, you interrupt my interruption. But yeah, so you were saying dream journaling and lucid dreaming.
Yeah, writing it down.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool thing to do, just because as well, on some level it's like therapeutic, and you get to like, I had this experience and it made me reflect, like feel this, and you sort of can connect it to your real, your waking life experiences. And yeah, it's really beneficial. But then it's also just funny and interesting. There's all these funny stories, and sometimes you're just reading like, this is so bizarre. But then some people, dreams might be a bit more mellow, or like just like, dreaming of the cricket or something.
Yeah, or sometimes I feel
other people would have psychedelic crazy dreams.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like if I'm drunk, I have stupid dreams. It's almost like my consciousness is, the antenna's messed up. It's just like some terrible sitcom, like fucking shit recurring. Like, agony. But yeah, and some things were just like, that was an incredible story, or like being like, I dreamt like of a band song. I think it was like hearing a song by the band. That like, I haven't heard this before. Being like, it's so good. And then waking up and having this vague recollection of the kind of impression geometrically it made in me. I was going to think it was like imagining like there's this kind of spaciousness of this chord comes over the top of these other built-in structures of it, or something very very basic, but there's a certain signature of like, that song, like it wasn't just like our song, I had a vague kind of feeling of it. I remember the feeling to some extent, but so will you give us some specific?
Pass in journal.
So that's my one actually. These are my two. I tricked you. Speaking of tricking. Then black magic trickery was flying like a candle in the sun. That white magic escapade of dreams galloping like horses, dressed as sweet French maids, and the nonsense speaks, and the subconscious weeps, and the dream self awakens to watch Mark and Jamie McGlue with Rondé dream you and Vu, dreaming rendezvous.
Very nice. Which one is so many?
I'm going to start with a shout out to Oggy.
Shout out to Oggy.
So, alright, this one is a very short one, more or less, yeah. So November 3rd, 2020. Let's see, I'm hanging out with Bob Dylan, circa 70s, and Sarah Dillon with Mark and some pals. I tell Mark he shouldn't try the crack he's found. Then Dylan smokes the cigarette things, and it turns out the crack is some seemingly more benign substance than I'd imagined. Love interest with Hillary Clinton. I'll skip over that. That's a little detail.
It keeps going. It just keeps going.
Okay, I'm on a, and then this, okay, that's one, all right, and then there's same night, but another different dream, I guess. I'm on a snow-flecked grass island with Oggy and someone heading to a little house that's drawn my eye. Near the house, I see wolves approaching, but use my torch to flash on them, which causes them to retreat a bit, stay at bay. I see red blood on a sign or something. Oggy says something similar once happened to him. He turned around to see a guy staring hard at him, seemingly applying dark magic onto him. But Oggy laughed and said, "You can't boil a kettle if there's no water." That's it.
That's deep.
Yeah. So
This is a short one, but a quick one, and then maybe I'll do a double whammy. It's 23rd of the 1st, 2013. Me and Jamie flying next to the aircon due to its breezy properties. That's it. And we were basically
flying next to the aircon.
We were basically just floating next to the aircon, kind of like just like almost like you're at a wave pool, just like chilling, like flying, just
nice.
relaxing.
I remember
like,
that.
At the top corner near
That
the
was
aircon.
good fun, yeah.
But that's hang on, let me find something a little more.
I'd say maybe 1 for 1, even if they're small.
Alright, that's fair. Let's do that.
Just for the energy. I thought that was your intentional move. I was like, bold move.
I'm gonna do
Let's see.
2, 1, 2 and 2.
We can do.
Oh, this one, yeah, that's good too.
Alright. Something about aliens having sneakily taken an opportunity to take over Earth. Oh, that's not very interesting, actually. I hadn't put. Oh, here's a short one. Apparently worth it. All right. This is. Well. Good luck. 10th of the 4th, 2021. Hanging around the seaside upper slopes of Malibu, something like the energy of Malibu, or what Malibu might mean to me. Hang around the seaside upper slopes of Malibu. Oh, I remember this now. With an exciting bunch of people. Oh, it's beautiful. It's kind of like Cottesloe vibe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Your hood. Scabs.
Mm-hmm.
Scarborough.
Scarborough,
yeah. And I vaguely, hippie people, and I vaguely remember someone saying something like, "We go beyond all fear and chance in the love of our fellow men and all sacred material." Something weird like that. Felt very powerful. Sacred material. Wow. Alchemy vibes.
Can you read that once more, that last? What he says.
Sure.
We live
hippo.
not by fear and chance, but for the love of man, or something. Was it?
Yeah. It's a bit gay, to be fair, but in a spiritual sense. Happy, you know?
Yeah, sounds it.
We go beyond all fear and chance in the love of our fellow men and all sacred material.
Yeah, deep.
Yeah.
And men, obviously, meaning mankind.
Humans. Souls.
Yeah, souls. Very nice.
All sentient beings. Who are all love. Immortal love.
Yeah. Let's see. These are all over the place though. Some of these are like funny, some are bizarre and deep. What do we have? Well, I guess I'll just read this one. I don't know if it's the best one, but what's this? This is
the best one right now.
This is interesting. I
Yeah.
like because some of them are short and punchy. The 7th of the 7th, 2019. And Curtis is a friend of ours who passed away, drowned when we were 18, and he was 17. Great guy. Shout out to Curtis, wherever you are.
Shout out to Curtis.
So in
I'm sure he's cooler than ever.
That's right. Riding the astral waves on Harani Loco. 7th of the 7th, 2019. I see Curtis across a fence to a social area akin to a beer garden. I get so excited and emotional. I run over and I think we embrace. I think and I'm crying. I remember very little, but he is in cheerful spirits and says something along the lines of his soul planning his own death is spiritual growth for those he loves and who love him. Allah, what would Curtis do? Phenomenon. Interesting.
Wow.
Wow. But yeah, various interactions with Curtis in different dreams. Like another one where this guy was like, shh, like, you know, if you, the siren goes off, I'm telling 2 in a row, but very quickly.
Oh, go for it, yeah.
The siren goes off at the high school and it's like everyone's going to the class and I'm like, I don't really want to go to the class. Maybe I'll just do something else. And I climb onto the roof and just like wait for everyone to leave. And then there's a guy up there and he's like, hey, if if you follow me and you stay quiet, I'll bring you to someone. I'm like, sounds interesting. So I follow him through and we go over some other rooftops, and then he's like, grab onto me or something. I hold onto maybe his jacket or something, or I'm just next to him, and suddenly we transport, and it's me and him, but now the whole scene's changed. We're in a different place, and he leads us through, and there's crowds of, some small crowds of people, and he leads me to Curtis, who's there, like smiling, like, hey, how's it going? And then we just hang out for hours, basically, and just like talking, hanging out, laughing, and then sometimes the dream characters being like, if we're talking too much about it being a dream, he's like, X-nay on the dream name, but let's keep talking, It was really interesting. I was like, what's going on here? And then I got distracted and got lost, and then the same guy finds me again later and is like, come back, and I talk to Curtis again, briefly. But yeah, it's, that was, so these sort of situations sometimes,
like I've also had dreams where Curtis is there, and sometimes it's like I know he's dead, and others I don't. I think he's like, oh my god, there's a miracle, you're alive. I thought you were dead. Like, oh, you're alive, mate. And but sometimes, like several times in dream, I've been like, oh, but you're dead, and he'd be like, huh, what? Like, playing like nonplussed, like what? Or like, like, is that the word? And like kind of like baffled, like what? Not entirely denying it or something. It almost seems like that thing of like, don't mention we're in a dream.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I had a dream once where I said it, and he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, didn't you die? You drowned. And he was like, oh, and he like was kind of like really like solemn about it. And I was like, oh. Then other times it's just like does God exist, Curtis? I asked him in one of those dreams, and he's like, of course, and it's just like interesting, just these interactions. What would you say is one of the most, is there a dream that comes to mind which is like particularly like spiritual or like transcendental in some way?
Good question. This becomes one of three relevant things. So first I'd like to just say a lucid dream, I just remembered. But where Curtis was there, so lucid dream, transcendent, and other nature of things. All right. So we're going into Craigie Leisure Centre. Is it? We used to go. Yeah. And with a bunch of like high school students. We're all high school students, and then I see kind of like Curtis, but then Curtis, like, there's this feeling of immense excitement as we're kind of rushing in, all this crowd, into the doors at the front there, like the metal big doors. But I see Curtis is talking to younger Curtis. He's kind of like, like there's that picture of Curtis and Jack Price, where he's been like, he's kind of leaning in like that. But anyway, so he's kind of leaning in a friendly kind of way, like, no, yeah, come on, like emphatically to younger Curtis, like, and then as they're going in the door, it's like, this must be a dream. That doesn't make sense, does it? I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but that almost seems a bit weird. And then I'm like, oh, it's a dream. Oh, amazing, cool. And I just let them go on their way. I'm not even focused on it. I'm like, okay. And we go in, and then basically there was this. I was like, I don't know why I wanted it, but I think there was just this car thing. Like, was that always there? Where you put in a coin and you ride in it? Was there always one there? At Craigie Leisure Centre. I wonder if there was.
I don't know.
Because they would do in shopping centres sometimes, these toy car things for kids. There's one of them, and I got in it, and then I remember like thinking like, oh, so if this is like a dream, I could just have some like beautiful woman appear out of nowhere, and a beautiful woman just like in like denim shorts or whatever, just like got in and sat next to me in this like fucking like teddy bear like toy car thing for kids or whatever. And then there was some sort of very vivid sexual encounter, and then and then I think I woke up like basically soon after, but basically it was like some kind of primal like impulse of just like, I can have whatever I want right now. Well, what about sex? And I remember it feeling very real, which is pretty crazy. So that would be one, the basic level. On the existential level, good question. Transcendental. In what, like having a spiritual kind of experience or awakening?
Just something which is like particularly like deep. I mean, you've already mentioned a few, to be fair, but like some contact with God, as in the universe, as in the infinite intelligence, that we're all candles of the flame.
I think there's some recorded here again. So, before I forget it, we'll just quickly say, no, you just give me a dream, and then we'll give us a dream, and then.
Are you gonna remember?
Yeah.
All right, this is a short one. This is the most recent dream I had. And it's 22nd of the 5th, 2023. Sailed a boat to Indonesia and back from Europe. Peaceful, adventurous, freedom vibes. Climbed up a large verdant hill and sort of hiked to a small castle with a humble royal family and hung out for a while. Was standing on the back of a bus on the outside, holding a railing as it sped down the road very fast and took me near the Royals Hill. Was on my own for most of the dream and felt great. Going with wherever I went, or going with wherever I went and whatever happened. Overall, a good feeling, independent and free. So like I'll always at the end of a dream try to write how it felt. Because then it tends to bring me back more into the tone of what that dream felt like. And that's some of the best stuff as well.
And you can read it a second time then, remembering that feeling and maybe sink in proper.
So the emotional
will be there all the
describing the emotional scene, and so just what happens.
What countries did you go to in that thing? You went to Israel and India. So is it
on this?
Yeah.
No, just to Indonesia.
Indonesia
and back from Europe.
Ah, cool. Very exotic. Gunung Padang or something.
Yeah. Probably yes.
Yeah, the kings. Cool. Interesting. Cool. The thing about like say contacting like friends in dreams, like say whether they're alive or dead, or just people in dreams, is like if you know them well, then your subconscious, even if this is happening in collective space, then you're contacting some part of them, If it's happening in just internal space, that's like just my isolated consciousness, and it's kind of like an intranet. It's like just an isolated virtual reality thing, organic virtual reality thing, which consciousness is being expressed through. Then if that's happening, then my subconscious is modeling, say, Curtis very clearly, like I know him very well, or like many people, and even some famous people or something, fairly well on some level. And so you're like, even if it's that isolated thing, your subconscious is modeling them and you're interacting with them. And so you're really connecting to their energy and interacting with their energy. And so that's pretty realistic, But then when you think about what's happening under normal circumstances, is that a person, that's not their soul anyway. That's their mind and their ego. It's their character that God is playing. There's the actor and the character, the being and the human, To some extent, it's kind of like even like Leonardo DiCaprio in his real life is like a role that's being played by God. So it's like Jack's being played by Leo, who's being played by Jesus. Which is also a very trippy thing when you realize in a film, you're like, it's not real, It's kind of shame when you have that lose your disbelief, can't be suspended anymore. Then you go, oh, wait a minute, but this is a real story where they're acting together. That's a story, and anyway, that's their actors again. They don't realize, but like just being like realizing that moment was real for the actors, And if you can just accept that, like, oh yeah, it's a story, but hey, that's part of the super story, which is really beautiful. So it's not like some mundane thing. It's just another level of this story. It's gonna be, but when you're interacting with these characters, like so in real life, it's like this is all vibration anyway. It's all just the sea of consciousness, and these dreams are being experienced here. Seems like, right? And so then, on the other level of just the dream, the parameters are different, but its consciousness is present and it's having these experiences, and it's interacting always with other people. It seems like from one of the stories in that lucid dreaming book. Yes, sometimes, but other times maybe not, you know. But anyway, it's kind of funny, like the universe, it's kind of pretty real, you know. Anyway, like
Yeah, and I mean,
or maybe completely real. Maybe they're both branches of the same deeper reality.
yeah, in that Robert Wagner book, Lucid Dreaming, he really emphasizes that, where he's saying people put this distinction of, it was in like dreaming, you know, like, and then in reality. So in dreams and then in reality. It's like, well, dreams are part of reality. It's a 24-hour clock, you know, and you're experiencing things. And your body might be asleep, but your mind is experiencing this. And then, so it's really the dichotomy of, wow, waking reality versus dreaming reality. In the sense that even if you have a stressful experience, a stressful dream, your heart is going to be beating faster and your blood rate will be, increased. Your like hormones in your body will be more like cortisol and stress hormones if you're having a dream or something stressful. So it is affecting your body in a way anyway, you know, and there is like a connection. But yeah, where's it going with that?
Absolutely, you're going right here. Yeah. And then it's like half the planet at any given time is asleep, more or less. And,
yeah, right.
And a lot of them are dreaming, you know. So it's like the planet's got this dream consciousness, it's got this waking consciousness, and it's got this, deep rest or whatever.
Exactly.
Deep sleep, unconscious.
And so they're all real in a way.
Yeah.
It's just like, dreaming.
Deep sleep, I sometimes wonder if that's just like non-reflective consciousness. It's like you're just present. You're not really aware you're present. So you're not like paying attention to yourself or something. Do you connect to that deep level of like the universal mind or something?
I mean, it might just be soul, you know, more in like a soul place versus a mind place or a body place. Maybe it's just like you go higher, closer to that threshold,
right,
or something. You know, it's like the part in that book where he's like somewhere, and he's like, "Is this an
astral orbit?"
Exactly, higher out, from
higher atmospheres.
But he asks the guy, he's like, "Wait, is this a lucid dream?" And he's like, "It's just this whole realm of white light. This guy's sitting at a desk or something." He's like, "Or just standing there." He's like, "Is this a lucid dream?" He's like, "Oh, lucid dreams are this way." He points down like a certain tunnel or like something like that, or like down a hallway or something. He's like, "Oh, okay, thank you," and walks off. And he's like, "Wait, where was that place? Why did I leave? Who's that guy?" You know, it's like some just place of just like the stillness.
Yeah.
And then there's all the this and that and story and duality of the dreams. You know.
Yeah.
Pleasure and pain and all that.
And then it's interesting also how this might, like Imperial College London, like mapping out DMT space. Like they have not just therapeutic stuff, but they've got these DMT trials where they're just seeing like what do you get, and they're just recording what they get. It's just a scientific information, and then to build into models of what's going on. Right? So it seems like potentially, we're going like, oh, there's this other dimension in here, and then how does that feed into dreams? Being like, oh my god, we're there like half the time. Imagine the military when they realize they're like, oh my god, there's this frontier into dreams. No, they're probably already.
Oh my god, what a surprise!
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. How shocking!
Hey,
the military didn't know.
Good of you guys to tell us.
Hey, great! Now everyone can live here under certain conditions. Yeah.
Another topic.
So, all right, let's get another dream here. Let's go the other book. That come out. That was buggy one. All right. It's really crazy just going through a whole book of like your experiences, like especially the kind of nuts experiences there.
100%. You got one?
No.
Should I read?
Absolutely.
All right. You can keep looking while you read.
Oh, here's a very short one, right?
All right.
Just slip in there, okay?
Yeah.
So, 8th of April, 2015. So, some sort of cosmic battle. I heed to join it. I need to join it.
I had to join it.
I had head. Oh, exactly.
Head over.
Oh, yeah,
I
right.
had to join.
Makes sense. Some sort of cosmic battle. I head to join it. A dolphin, fat and grey and smiling, appears at the beach, and I hug it, say hello, knowing it is conscious like me, and let it flop on top of me. I feel that I can trust it. All right. Enough said.
Wow. Yeah. Cosmic battle, huh? Interesting. All right, so this one is the 31st of the 1st, 2016. I was working at East Frio Yacht Club, packing things up by the river. I become flirtatious with a girl inside who was a manager, maybe. I kiss her and then we made out for a while. I become attached to her in a more soppy, serial, monogamous kind of way. Later we are at my house in Mount Hawthorn and we somehow become aware that a cataclysmic flood is on its way, and we pack our bags. We find refuge at a country mansion. We settle in, my friends practicing machine gunning while I chilled in a tent with said girl. Something changes and the mob is after us. The owners of the mansion have African gang contacts who help smuggle us out and hide us in cardboard boxes inside an empty Target. Before this point, I had realized that I was unhealthily attached to the girl from the yacht club and not actually into her, so she's out of the dream. The mob, who also seem like the military, end up finding us anyway. We are questioned, etc., and just as I'm about to be led for a walk, quote unquote, I escape on my hands and knees into the bushes. I knock out guards, etc., while I find the exit, or until I find the exit. A policeman is leaving the compound, and I pretend to be an official and walk out with him, talking about work and lying as required. I go to get the bus, but I end up walking and finding Mum, Phil, her ex-partner, Sarah, and Jacob. They are all very worried. And then it clicks in me that this is a dream, and I become lucid. I excitedly tell them that we're dreaming. Jacob reciprocates this excitement, but my family seem unconvinced. I say, how likely is it that African gangsters had us hid us in cardboard boxes only to be found by the mob and then escape their huge compound and it not be a dream? We all laugh, seemingly appreciating the bizarre nature of it. I briefly remember I want to try something lucid, but it quickly washed. I am quickly washed back into the distractions of dreaming. Yeah.
Amazing. So funny also you saying that to the family, being like, how likely is it? Blah, 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 blah. That's like exactly something you would say. You know, like it's like about some other thing. We're like, how likely is it? You know.
Exactly.
And then it's like that. You're just expressing normal family social dynamics, but in dreamland. It's crazy.
Talking about how we're all dreaming, and it's like, yeah, sure, we are dreaming.
Wow, amazing. I like it. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Two friends of mine who I've never met have been living together, having moved out of their orphanage. Some amazing / dramatic things start happening, but when I replay each, I find a new thing happening. And then I realize I can only see them once, and by re-watching, have been overwriting the previous stuff. So it's like there's this thing start happening, and then I'm like, oh, I'm trying to rewatch it, and then it'll be like somehow I can just rewatch it, just rewind the video, forget I go from being in it to being a video, you know, I mean like, oh yeah, rewind, and then playing again, it's amazing, but wait, what just happened? Putting it back, it's changing, it's not the same. And so that's, I guess, my dream thing, just generating new stories, but then me being like, oh, it overwrites the previous stuff. Like,
and you were watching, what was amazing about what you're watching?
I do not know. I think I don't know. Yeah, I would guess like just the interesting plots, things. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
There's two friends hanging out. They've just moved out. Who God knows.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been like some, you know, it's just like the idea of amazing things.
Yeah.
It wasn't even something specific. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like cue that emotion. Like a Bach being like, it's like, okay, he'll play this note. Some guy's like,
Yeah.
why? Because Bach says so. God's Bach. Let's see. Here's one, right? That one there was 2021. Okay, so it's kind of this one, yeah. Also, this 2021, 2 years ago. So 21st of the 5th, 2021, 21/5/21, palindrome day, almost type. Was a wizard in the world of Harry Potter and was battling Death Eaters at times and hanging out with my fellow good guys at other times. At one point, I accidentally said Crucio when surprised by a Death Eater and sending curses at each other. Though it didn't work, which I was grateful for, instead turned to stupefy, impedimenta, expelliarmus, reductor, etc. So much fun. It's just dreaming of being a wizard, like.
Wow. Alright, let's see. Let's see this. What do you got?
Well, you can go if you want. Let's see. All right. Well, let's go. Here's a slightly more in-depth one. See what it's talking about.
Oh yeah, this one's funny.
So, right. Basically, I'm on an extensive, extended adventure with younger Bob Dylan. He's fantastic company and clearly appreciates my own. We get along, brothers. Okay. Mark appears at some point for a while. We seem to be in some sort of seaside old Greenwich Village-y town and are noting such things as the White House Inn, where I say to my companion before Bob Dylan is my companion, that's where Dylan began playing. Though at first I had said Woody Guthrie had, and then corrected myself. In many situations, Bob exudes humble, cool, and wisdom. Okay. I'm having a fantastic time. Blah blah blah. But I think I haven't been in the habit of writing like regularly, so I feel like sometimes the expression is not as clear.
Yeah.
But it's fairly long. So but I'll just say basically my memory of it, right?
Yeah.
Which was like, in a nutshell, we're in this seaside kind of town. It's very beautiful. It's kind of vertical, like like an Italian village or on the sea or something. But yeah, it's Greenwich Village kind of vibe. And then a bunch of things happen. It's having fun times. And then it's like there's this kind of like Book of Revelation, kind of like the apocalypse is upon us and the sky is falling. It's like, oh man. And then it's like Bob Dylan and I are basically trying to find heaven's door, or like trying to get to heaven, which is like two Dylan songs, like trying to get to heaven before they close the door, and knocking on heaven's door, whatever.
Yeah.
But like we're like literally, I was totally unaware of like, what a coincidence, just like, okay, trying to find heaven amongst all these old buildings. So we get into some sort of hotel corridor kind of thing with these wide steps, short, a few steps down among this big carpeted atrium thing. And as we're about to go down these small steps, there's in the air above me, these symbols appear. These kind of golden, like almost like the language you see on Star Wars or whatever. Oh, there's some random alien language or whatever. It's like lines and curves and stuff. And that was like heaven's door somehow. And yeah, that was basically it. Like it was this crazy feeling. Like, yeah, we need to get to heaven. Come on, Bob Dylan, let's go. We can do it.
Wow.
And it was like some sort of place or connection. I don't know. But yeah.
Do you reckon that was part of Bob's soul?
Good question. Could be.
Then let's
What's to
see.
say?
What have we got here? Okay.
I'm no doctor.
27th of the 4th, 2021. It's also pretty crazy, I'd say, because the first entry I have is the very end of 2012. So it's like more than 10 years. Pretty
Nice.
crazy insight when you think about that. All right, so 27th of the 4th, 2021. At a big park house, looks like Perry Lakes, which is a nice posh place in Perth, pretty garden. I walked to someone's house, maybe Carmen or Christine, though it's in Perth. It is revealed somehow that Sharon has passed on. Wow, that's heavy. That's my, and then was hiding, being terminally ill. We are interviewed into dictaphone. Just before I wake, or Brashan is there, plays a dubstep song and asks, "Is this your kind of thing?" Seemingly it's not. I say something like, "Not really," but it's okay. I just passed. I just paused the music so I could remember the dream better. That's what I'm saying to him in the dream, because I paused the music. He's like, "Do you like it?" or something. I turned it off and I was like, trying to remember I was dreaming. I was dimly aware I had forgotten already the majority of the dream, and that I intended to journal in the morning. I'm in a situation with some villain or wrongdoer, henchman, who is about to attack me. I somehow realize it's a dream and that I can fly away. It is glorious, and as I float above the vista of green grass and trees, at first it's clumsy and heavy with a few folds back to my feet, but I persist and it works. And for me, it's almost like when you're pushing against water, pull, still water, the texture of it. But I persist and it works. I land down the street and Jamie is there. I say, "Let's go to the top of that beautiful huge palm tree in the roundabout." He starts to climb and I say, "No, we can fly." He ends up holding my hand while I fly, then the back of my shirt to make it work, and hover above the flower at the top of the palm tree, touching and smelling it, praying over it, while speaking my thanks to it. Then we head home, or onwards, at least. Another challenging situation arises, and I say an idea to transcend it. I don't recall specifics. Jamie is unsure and incredulous. I say, "Jamie, we just flew above a palm tree, right? Don't you think we could do anything?" It ends up working. Later, someone has glass bottles of Coca-Cola and tries to either sell me one or manipulate me somehow. I say, "I've already got one, see?" Holding up a thin object. This is blurry, don't remember specifically or something. I don't know what the object was. I again bring up, anyway, it's like I hold up this object and it turns into a bottle of Coca-Cola. I'm like, "See? I already have a bottle." I again bring up flying above palm trees and say, "If I did that, I can do this, right?" And I remove a screw from the top of the metal object, which reveals a perfume style dispenser. I remove another cap and it turns into a real Coke lid as I do this. So it turns into a bottle of Coca-Cola. Looking the guy in the eyes, I pour it in my mouth and taste cold Coca-Cola flowing out of what had become a bottle. I felt chuffed with those realizations and felt like I was returning to my power and connection to the cosmos.
Through Coca-Cola. Amazing.
Well, through realizing, I was like, "Wait, I just made this bottle of Coca-Cola and it tastes delicious." Though I earlier flew through the roof to escape being chased and knew I could do it as it was a dream, I didn't ever really feel super lucid with it clicking, quote unquote, that here I am. Next time I'd like to meditate or find a mirror in the dream. Very interesting. There you go.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, love it. One thing I want to ask, I really want to get into dreams more, and then with the lucid dreaming, one thing I want to do, I want to ask about there was some board game in ancient Ireland. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's something like fickle, or it's spelled like fid chell, you know, and it's like fickle or something. But it's this kind of chess kind of board game, and we don't know what it was anymore. Like the rules got forgotten. It was this like sacred, really important game, and so
maybe it's just chess.
Could be. But and I was like, imagine like ask the dream thing, but you know, design me an ancient Irish board game. And make it really accurate to what they may have played.
Or just, I want to experience exactly what that board game is like.
Yeah, tell me what fickle is, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And then experience it.
But yeah, the existential things, I'm not sure if I remember. I'm not sure if I think I have, but I can't. Maybe there's some written down here, but none come to mind of like really existential ones. So I wonder if my mindfulness, how deep it connects down into like the subconscious or like into my dreams, you know? It's interesting, like, you know.
Or who knows if just me going deep into writing dreams at the time when I was meditating a lot and just happened to have some of these experiences.
Yeah. I think it's available to everyone though, it seems.
Yeah.
Some people seem more gifted than others, but like, to some extent. But maybe even they're just more interested and more devoted, you know.
The more people meditate.
The writer of that thing had like 1,000 lucid dreams, right? He's recorded.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so the more you do it,
Yeah, but anyone can do it, yeah.
Particularly if you're meditating as well, seems like you just become calmer, or if not really calm, even. And then you just, you know, feel great and you're sort of like inviting more magic into your life, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So it translates into dreaming as well. I think just if you're meditating in the morning and then when you go to sleep as well, so you're like stilling your mind, then you know you can have some pretty profound experience.
Yeah. I think like the dreams, like there's clear narratives and stories in them, right? And it's like the creativity or the intelligence which allows your body to be running when you're asleep. There's some intelligence flowing, right? Like oh, it's automatic. It's like well, that's one theory. Where's your evidence? Like, because there's an equally evidenced, because none have evidence.
The automatic universe told me.
Yeah. You know, it's either that or like, oh no, it's just the natural intelligence of life is in your mind and it's in nature and it's everywhere and it runs things.
Yeah.
So how do we know which is which? Well, both would fit out the model is what we know. But anyway, and so it seems more plausible.
Same electricity, you know, bring life to all these appliances that are different.
Yeah.
Different situations.
But that anyway, that intelligence is writing these stories, these crazy. They're very creative at times and very fitting. Sometimes like crazy, like you know, like I had no idea. I was like, oh yeah, that's like a song, a Dylan song. What was happening? It was just part of the structure. It's like, who wrote it then? You know, but we're learning from these stories, so they teach us things. You know, and it's almost like dreaming is processing information you've gained from your experience, perhaps. You know. And like kind of help integrate and understand it. And so say something happened, and then it's like, okay, we'll have a bunch of, you know, I don't know, you won a sports thing, or you didn't get something you wanted or whatever, or and then you have these dreams which are influenced by those emotions, and have stories which generate insights about dealing with those emotions, you know. And then in your real life, you just make slightly better decisions. And it's like your subconscious is kind of putting in legwork or something.
Yeah, you're just getting, and as far as like mathematically, probability wise as well, like. You're having more shots, you know, like more lives to pass that level. You know, if it was a video game. So like if you're dreaming, you can go through a situation, experience it, and then observe the outcome. Be like, oh, if I had done that, the consequences. You can have that experience, but not in waking reality. So you have more shots to get it right, kind of thing.
Training programs.
Yeah.
Dreams.
Military training programs.
On the Matrix farm.
We got to talk about what we think dreams actually are at some point as well.
Definitely, yeah. So that was that. Let's see what else is in this magical book. Alright, let's go. Oh, this one then. Alright, September 29th, 2020. Queen of England was an alien with magical psychic powers whom I was battling with the power of love. I forgot to try Om. She was very powerful and kept chasing me as I escaped. And some, I think, Dad was with me in central Perth, so to speak, and had IPAs. Mark mentions Kim Beazley works nearby. Dad is interested. And Mark says the Beazleys basically control Australia. I have to fight someone, and then that might be just the end of that. But so yeah, I have to fight someone, and though I do a bit of striking, I quickly move to BJJ and secure chokes from behind on the huge dude I'm fighting. Eventually it ends, but it's declared a draw, even though I felt I was clearly dominant throughout. Joe Rogan calls for a rematch, but ref says no. New one. I'm at some fete/bowl and know there are many dark beings disguised as humans, taller than most. Exciting but spooky, glamorous. And then, I have the honor to meet Aldous Huxley. He is wonderful and charming, and eventually he says to the man he's talking to that he must go. Or the other guy did, I'm not sure. Then I see the knowledge of impermanence, the collectedness/recollection enter Aldous' face and eyes. He seems to sigh an inch shorter, says, "Now I'm present with you." Very tender, acknowledging he has taken it for granted.
Wow. Alright, should I hit you?
Go on.
Let's see. Well, it gets very psychedelic indeed. What was this one? Okay, yeah, this one's interesting. Okay. With 28th of the 3rd, 2016. With Jamie and Jacob on a highway, throwing some large bundle around. I go to throw it at Jamie's head for lols, but hesitate. I was feeling, what if I actually hit him? Noticing he's next to the edge. He falls anyway, and so I stop noticing you're next to the edge. I'm like, oh, and then he falls anyway. So it's like expectation kind of in dreams. He falls anyway, and it's a huge drop. The variety that would kill. He sounds hurt, but then I say, don't worry, Jamie, it's just a dream. You can jump back up. He proceeds to do a huge Jedi jump from like down back onto this highway. Jacob looks confused. I explain we're lucid dreaming. I close my eyes and tell the dream, I want to meet Jade, my ex. Nothing immediately happens, and I lose some lucidity. Seb shows up, inviting us to a hipster share mansion on the Swan River. I say, let's get a boat, but Seb insists we will turn into sea snakes and swim it down the river. I'm a little anxious about the dark water and being a huge snake, but proceed. Underwater, I see I see Seb's huge snake body. No, snake's huge snake body. I see Seb's huge snake body moving in front of me. And suddenly I am the same. So I'm suddenly a huge snake. And I can feel myself like moving through the water at this huge pace, being this huge snake. It was crazy. We arrive at the house naked. So we just kind of like jump out of the water and turn, and we're like human again, and we're naked. I use mind power to conjure up shirt and pants onto me by just thinking shirt and pants, and then I have clothing suddenly. Brashan is outside writing in a journal. Seems to be a conversation between him and Jade discussing his mum and dad and arranging a time for dinner. I ask him if Jade has come to Perth, and Brashan acts as if he has just blown a big secret. We go inside. Seb has an analog synth. That is apparently why we're there, or he's going to buy one. This gets a bit spicy. There are 3 to 4 stories in the house. There seems to be something happening in there. Let's keep it G13. We end up at a park with a playground and a new companion. It all becomes blurry from here. But basically, we're just partying in this huge mansion, like a share house, but a mansion by the Swan River.
Sounds like the place you used to jam, no? With, who was it? Lewis's friend?
Oh, yeah, it just sounds similar to that.
In Bassendean, was it? Or
Guildford.
Guildford.
Yeah, not too dissimilar. This one comes right after. I'll read this very
Go for
quickly.
it.
It's just like a 7-liner. You'll approve. 11th to the 4th, 2016. Me, Seb, Brashan, and Kira Knightley swimming laps in the ocean for this murderous sea pirate guy who was half holding us captive and half teaching us drama and sport for school. I dropped my apple in the water from the boat and like swan dived off after it into this serene water, and then everything was like fine.
Amazing. I love it. Beautiful.
Wow.
Well, this one, let's see. October 2nd, 2020. Mark studies to join Mexican Air Force. Good for his Spanish. 5 to 7-year-old Sarah, cute, very cute, in back seat, tells me how she knows what mum's thinking, telepathy, and even what her ancestors experienced, but it's wobbly, and heard as voices. She's very casual. That was it. But,
Wow. Now what do you reckon? Are we gonna, you only have a couple left yet.
yeah. See, what else is lurking around in here? Running over leafy earth with a Native American looking woman. We both had swords. People attack us and we defend ourselves. I'm glad I've practiced sword fighting as a kid. And yeah, that's basically just like some, I think that's it, yeah.
Crazy. Crazy.
I also have a dream kind of similar, which was like where I was running at people throwing spears and just running. It was very vivid and I was dodging the spears. And then vice versa, like I think go the other direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I have like dreams of someone's got like a knife and I'm like, whoa, like
Yeah.
kung fuing around. Kung fuing around.
Kung fu, right?
Let me hit this one. Let's see. Let's see. I am 2nd to the 5th, 2016. At an unfamiliar train station. Feels like down south. I get on a bus and try to leave. At the first stop, I get the idea to levitate and float home. I'm suddenly soaring through the clouds and making decent speed. Later on, I'm in Newcomb Park. I try to fly, but start to fall back down. I recognize that my success has to do with expectation and focus. So I concentrate in a somewhat meditative mindset and I'm soaring through the sky again. At various points, I felt semi-lucid. There was an emotional atmosphere of fun, but also of escape. Interesting.
Nice. Yes, very good.
Yeah, I think
Let's see.
I might get through all this probably.
This is a short one. 6th of the 7th, 22. Mum breaks down in tears, says the media are saying perhaps the unvaccinated should commit suicide.
Wow.
I know she senses this heralds things getting way out of control. I console her and proceed to lock the various doors to our house/building for her benefit to calm her and show progress. I am later taken in by a big family of Jews who I like a lot and who like me. Bob Dylan appears too, briefly. The father decides to give me an old gun the family/friends have. I follow him. I feel I am ready to face the evil that has been stalking us. I feel calm. So we're like going to like some like, I don't know, people trying to kill us or something.
Wow.
I think that's, they're all very, I don't know,
Yeah.
intense. these ones so far. Clearing house.
What's this one?
There's many beautiful ones here as well, I believe.
really sure on this. I mean, there's someone where basically I'll just tell because I can't find it exactly, but it's like I'm in the Amazon or something. I'm in like a canoe paddling down this mellow kind of quiet river, and then there's a channel that goes off to the right. And there's kind of, it's almost like a natural taxi bank for like canoes, or like I pull into it and it's like an area, like a turning off, and then I pull up to what's like this
Canoe
aquatic garage kind of thing, and I like pull into it. And it's really peaceful, kind of like shelter above there, a lot of plants everywhere, a lot of green, and yeah, this wooden kind of calm wooden structure, and the boat kind of, my boat docks. And then I get off and there's like these two people there. So there's this guy who's like this old man, like very calm eyes, and just like very calm and like unconditionally loving, just like you have come kind of thing. And it was like said something, and it's him and his wife who are there, who's just kind of standing to the back, and there's some exchange between me and the guy. I think I was like a young girl in the dream, maybe, or maybe I was around, I don't know if it's that, or if I was around like other like young people or something at some point earlier. But at any rate, the guy, this old man, it's like there's some soul connection, and he's like says something like this is, you know, for most people, the wedding, for most men, like the wedding day should be the happiest day of their life, but this is the happiest day of mine, or something. And it was like almost like he was my teacher from a, I don't know, like a teacher from another lifetime or something like that. It was crazy. It was like this really just beautiful feeling, and just this like recognition of like, and it was just meant to be just in this little moment. Pretty deep.
Yeah. Indeed. Here's another one. I mean, just a bit kind of crazy. Like some of these dreams are just like kind of wild, but let's see. I guess important thing probably is not to get embarrassed by your subconscious. I think, you know, when you talk about dreams, you know.
Yeah, or just gloss over whatever.
For sure. Yeah. But so 3rd of October. I don't know when this was. Like what's the year just there? 2017. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When did you begin your thing? I began in like December 2012.
Huh.
What did you? The 14th of December 2012.
Yeah, I started the 29th of November 2012. So a week.
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before you.
So maybe you told me about it or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Thursday. Interesting.
So, yeah. Let's see. So this one is, was it 3rd of October? Was a disciple of Yogananda, or one like him, wandered Mile-End-esque streets, part of Montreal, looking for him. So I was, looking for my guru, right? An elephant and a man were running from something bigger than both. I became a guru, and upon reaching the heights of enlightenment, I had ascended an escalator to a concrete balcony area between classrooms and a grassy slope, falling off to the left. I cleared away leaves with my feet. Then, when teaching a circle of students, I was addressing a beautiful Indian young woman. As an example to illustrate a point, I kissed her on the cheek. She was disconcerted, so I said, "Be careful. The mind assumes something sexual, but the guru wants nothing. I only kissed you to change your energy into a higher state." Or something. However, damningly, I had the beginning twitches of an erection.
Wow.
Thus, I was unconsciously undermining my spiritual integrity.
You were one of those gurus in your dream.
Yeah. Oh my god, hilarious.
Wow.
Go on, what you got?
Let's see. Maybe I'll go with the very first dream entry I have in here. Which is, I mean, there was some other part that I wanted to put up there. I couldn't remember. Anyway. This one, 29th of November 2012. Went to Cuba on holiday. The architecture of mine seemed like some old Arabian town. And when we get inside our hotel room on the 3rd floor, I had one bed, Daniel Taylor had another, and I can't remember the other person. There was suddenly no roof and wall next to my bed. Was just a railing next to a massive reef and bay of tranquil water. Like this beautiful, like turquoise expanse. There were these fish snakes later on that had bulbous tails. We swam out through the reef into the water, then to land. I had the strong impression that I had narrowly missed out on the sun-bleached Cuba aquatic childhood experience. I wept as I thought this and looked around at the log cabin on the grassy hill. There was an underground river. It was like this just real like poignant like beauty, as if like I'd gone there on holiday and I'd realised that like there's this whole childhood experience there or something, or maybe it kind of felt like I had a past life childhood experience there or something. I was like the beauty of it or something. And there was an underground, like I felt like home. There was an underground river or waterway below the city, which I had yearned for, but it was unavailable. But later on in the dream, it was opened and everybody, men, women, children, were swimming down it like this huge water slide. They said, just dive right down, watch out because it'll be fast at first, but the current will carry you all the way. This was a definite fun slide. It magically became above ground at some point, reminiscent of the slides on Bubsy on Super Nintendo, or a level of Donkey Kong. Very beautiful and summery. There was this like huge expanse with all these cliffs around and different like tunnels moving in water and trees. There was a very large enveloping sense of freedom and catharsis. Cuba was a water park. So it was kind of like Cuba, but it was this huge water park basically. It was like
Nice.
fun slides and sunshine and like trees and everyone was happy. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I eventually realised I had told Mum I would go around by myself but hadn't agreed upon a time and place to meet up afterwards. So I headed back to the hotel and she was in the lobby. We didn't know where Jamie was, but I went to the room. Daniel Taylor asked if I wanted the first shower, if he could have one. I said, that's fine. Then he told me he had taken some pills and was getting pumped for something later. Suddenly all of that crew was in my room. One of them was somehow my cousin, but I didn't recognize them. Some girl kept squeezing my butt and it was slightly uncomfortable. This is when I saw the fish snakes attacking, but apparently being harmless, with some fisherman dude in the reef. It turns out they were just like playing and having fun. Me and two others quickly swam back to outside the hotel room in abject fear, which makes sense considering we were watching from the. Which makes no sense considering we were watching from the railing and then suddenly we were in the reef swimming away from these snakes, and then it turned out they were just playing anyway. About this time, I woke up and considered the delicate yet powerful feelings of catharsis and childhood love that flowed to the Cuba of my dream.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. Catharsis, yeah.
What was your first dream?
My first dream in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful. Was that your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Did you read your first one already?
I did. No, I haven't yet, actually, no. But there's one other one here. Well, there's two others. What this, think was that, oh yeah, that's what it was here. So said, well, this is some tiny, just silly thing, but it was like, I'm part of some Tom Cruise-esque space commando police squad / group. I follow some guy along this energy curve, which is like transport. Some conflict, some resolution, a fight scene. Many people. It's from my past life in the Space Force.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it here where there's one quite mystical, you asked about what, maybe it was in the yeah, about like the meaning of it all. Maybe it would be in this first one. Let's see. I'd say in general, I would say like dreams sometimes just have little things that are incredibly profound, like that sacred material or that thing, but things are just really like apt, like for sure. Things will pop up sometimes like whoa. But let's see. So this one, 14th of December 2020. 14th of December 2012. There was a sort of casino / adventure world / rock concert / birthday party. And amongst the blur, I remember dancing around on a big crowded stage with Mark, Diety, a friend's mum. Diety then subtly asked we get off after helping her son Patch give her a piggyback. I also recall going to the toilet only to find it revolved away from its supposed walls, leaving me wiping my butt quickly in front of a picnicking young family. In a later phase of the dream, I was on a street corner, looking up a long avenue with a few other people, when I met a girl who was drop everything beautiful, with a wide, warm smile, bright eyes, and flowing gold hair like sunlight. I found out her mum was Dutch and her father Irish, at which point, breathing in her joy and positivity, my mind got blown with an intimation that this was my true love. I talked about being Irish and knowing Holland after having lived there a while during my travels. I managed to woo her, and the feeling of breathless joy, of overwhelming waves of happiness, absorbing me and filling me, as then washed over my shocked eyes, was beautiful beyond any words. It was touching base with the oceanic feeling of life-loving life, love living love, all the best of conscious experience, channeled down the valleys of two unique different people and finding itself in a giddy, manic euphoria of remembrance of how good it all can be, how good it always is. Crazy other things happened, like us only just managing to board a spaceship or plane at the end of the avenue, as other people tried to send us away without the woman. It says here Anais, I think, Anise or something, but Aneise. Managed to escape, and later I recall some futuristic blue glowing within black thin bars, crazy little piece of technology, either on her head or a ring on her hand, which somehow had a purpose. Getting blurrier, I think the girl and I were also hanging around the tree by Duncraig's school oval, where we used to hang out with Curtis, Rashan, Oggy, Steve, Jay, Steve B, Rob, Seb, Mark, and various cool cats. The experience left me with an overall feeling of wholeness after swimming freely in the waters of clear flowing and boundless intent and mutually devoted love. there you go. So yeah, it was like some beautiful archetypal, like, you know, woman, and I just remember like the tenderness in the eyes was very beautiful. Like, and the thing where I'm not sure if it was a visual thing, or the feeling, but there's kind of some visual element there, you know. And I was like, yeah,
just like when you're reading.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, reading's dreaming too. You know, it's like daydreaming. It's like focused daydreams.
That is the most common form of daydreaming, probably.
Yeah,
like the most vivid form of daydreaming.
Most useful. Maybe one up there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So now it's spooky, dark and spooky. Or we can keep it dark and spooky. So about the nature of dreams, is there anything we haven't covered? Kind of going through. I like how we finished with our first dreams. It's nice. All recorded ones. Yeah. Were there any others you wanted to share?
No, I think that's good.
Cool. All right. So yeah, about the nature of dreams, and like, you know, we talk about, you know, for the subconscious, helping, like, you know, teach us things and learn things and explore sides of ourselves, our personality, maybe not just learn, you know, lessons about how to deal with things, but just like who we are and exploring ourselves, or like, you know, in some ways, and then seeing the future just to protect yourself, you know.
What was saying?
Then the feeling of deja vu, another thing we didn't mention, but like, you know, sometimes getting deja vu and feeling like you saw it in a dream, you know.
Yeah.
And being like, is that just some random misfiring of the brain? Or is that like, you know,
being in a place in your dream and being like, haven't I been here before? Like in a dream, wasn't, you know? Or waking up and feeling like, oh, I feel like that place. That's not the first time I've been in that location.
Like Tolkien had this recurring dream of some massive wave washing over, rising up and washing over this beautiful, you know, city or wherever, or hillside or wherever he was on, you know, I think it's a city, you know. And I believe I read, I remember reading, him like saying like that he thought it was a past life from Atlantis, and that Numenor was based on that. But like things like recurring dreams are very interesting. And then like from Tolkien, and then I think someone else and his son had that, and it's like, is that because I think his grandson or something? Was it like,
or is that like, just strongly impressed in their memories? Because
morphic fields, like Rupert Sheldrake talks about, you know.
Yeah, or if, you know, if past lives.
Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. Sorry.
That's right. If past lives and reincarnation is just how reality works, or the universe works, then you could have that experience like that, and then it would be very like make a powerful impression on your soul, your psyche, or whatever. But if your awareness then after that life goes into maybe another dimension, rests a while, comes back, has another life, and so on and so forth, then might find yourself having that be one of the things that's coming up from your imagination, or your connection to the dreaming field of dreaming potentiality. So you have these like traumatic experiences come up like a huge wave. I had one dream I remember where I was like, had these big like gemstone kind of like opal like discs. It was like a huge gemstone kind of thing. When you look into it, almost like looked like mother of pearl. Like it's just beautiful and huge. And it was this big wheel, and I was holding it, and it was somehow controlling the tide, and like the waves are coming in, and I was like shaping them with this crystal, and I was like playing with them, like coming up and down, and just like moving around and experimenting with.
That's amazing.
I guess manipulating the shape of the wave. Crazy. So I'd say in general, main thing I want to say about dreaming, I think it is a very meaningful part of everyone's life, whether you remember your dreams or not. You know, it's like you have these experiences where, because it is kind of a little wibbly wobbly with the laws of waking reality and stuff, you just have these specific experiences, these dreams that come up, and the ones you remember tend to be the ones that stick out, maybe the best ones. So maybe not all of them are that interesting or meaningful, perhaps just a reflection of your mind and your state of consciousness, but some of them are, just like some of the most beautiful, touching experiences that maybe people are missing out. Maybe they feel like they don't have enough love in their life. Then you can find these experiences, and if you like think to remember, you're quite likely to have some beautiful moments and dreams.
definitely. Yeah, and like people sometimes say, "Oh, I don't dream." It's like you definitely dream. Like your brain is the same as everyone else. Like why wouldn't you be dreaming? Like, you know, I mean,
probably just
I don't know, but like I you have to
forget.
assume. Yeah, because it's so easy to forget them. And I think some people, they don't want to be aware of them. Like, oh my god, all that crazy stuff that happened. That's not me.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I wake up and I won't remember my dreams. Like I haven't.
Yeah.
I think it depends maybe how well you're sleeping, etc. as well, potentially. Like if you wake up and you're exhausted, maybe you won't remember as well as if you went to bed at a good time, 10 p.m. or something, slept for 8 hours. Who knows? But I don't remember all my dreams, but I presume I'm dreaming even when I don't remember it, or
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I remember like I used to have this stuff, dream liquid. Do you remember that? Makes dreams come true.
Yeah.
But like I had it next to my bed. It was like this eucalyptus extract or something, and I think something like that. I'm not sure. But like it just said dream liquid on it in like hot pink. It's this little vial, and I'd take a few drops, or maybe like a bunch of drops. Just go, oh, let's yank this up a notch, and it would make my dreams more vivid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe like that one with the guy, it might have been one of them. Like with that guy being like, "Hunger is the mind," and like because I think that was preambled by being on some sort of almost like World War II Soviet-esque, or like Bob Dylan freight train kind of thing, like thundering across this massive expanse of plains of green or whatever, and there's this really golden sunlight, and there's a shining city off in the distance, and it's all very vivid, I think that was, but like I think both of that was like this. So I might trying to get more of that stuff, but
yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Do you know?
Not sure.
Mystery dream liquid.
Yeah. So yeah, about the nature of dreams, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like it also implies a lot about like the way we relate to that. It implies it's full of implication. I think like the fact that all these things are happening, we just forget about it. Like that's kind of like a pattern. Okay, if you know about that, what else do you forget about, or overlook, or justify, or rationalize, or whatever? What other things? Like in a dream, you're like, oh yeah, like the walrus. Why is he here? Like, oh, he didn't. Like his friends left. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's part of the gang, whatever. Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, sure. And it's just like you don't question things a lot of the time.
That's right.
It's like that capacity of the mind. To what extent is that known capacity operative during the day? Is it 0%? Is it 100%?
Right.
And like things, or but also like the capacity, like say to wake up during the dream, right? And become lucid. That's not just a metaphor for like spirituality, but it's literally, you're literally waking up from a dream, and it's another kind of dream. But it's when you wake up, you're like, oh yeah, okay, here I am. Like I've been there were these streams of thinking and emotion, and I kind of wasn't able to keep track of what was what, and I kind of entered this thing where I thought it was me, and it's an expression of you in a way, but like you can get into these things where like your free will is kind of not totally at the wheel, and there's not much space around your thoughts, and it's kind of a sense of less free expression. But then like when
in waking reality,
yeah. And I think it applies also probably into the dream space to some extent, but like that that's what spirituality and awakening is all about. It's like this like what religion is really meant to be about, rather than controlling everyone, is helping people understand, like find God within, find the universe within, which is just like this pure presence of just awareness.
Exactly.
And there's no word for it really beyond words, and it's literally when you stop thinking, then you can experience it. You can't experience it through words. But that when you enter that blissful state of the waking, the sober certainty of waking bliss, someone called it, I can't remember who. That like this is realer than anything, and it's more beautiful than anything. Oh my god, how beautiful!
That's right. And here I am, and
homecoming, and it feels like you've woken up.
Yeah, definitely. So like I think levels of awareness in general, dreams become more interesting the more aware you become. Even if you're not lucid in the dream, if you're like talking to some Indian guru about the truth of the universe, if that's just the random content of your dream, then that's signifying like a high level of awareness, because clearly you're reflecting on the fact that we're here, how we hear, how does this work, is there a purpose to it, is it, why do I enjoy certain things, like whatever, why do I enjoy music, why is there a bliss to it, what is this feeling of bliss and love? It's just random things. We're just in the middle of the universe, and it's a fact, we're here, you can't pretend we're not. So yeah, I think getting into dreaming, raising consciousness in general, a lot of promise there, and meditation. I mean, like I could go deeper into all those areas realistically. For myself, like I still, keep it going, but like go through phases of being more in the flow of it, more maybe disciplined, and it's always like incredible. Like you just, when you're like, if you raise your consciousness in this sense of becoming more self-aware, putting in that time to slow down thoughts or commit to becoming better, not bitter, and just be like, I should presume everything's happening for you, not to you, and you're on like a journey of learning through your life. Like the more you become calm and you follow those things, like just the more enjoyable life is, and like the more fun and silly and all that. So like a big incentive, a pleasure incentive for spiritual evolution. Really.
Playful.
It makes life better, and even though we all go sort of falling back to an extent, we just eyes of the prize, remember, in general, there's this fountain of love and beauty and joy that people are tapping into, and we can all tap into it as well if we remember to,
That's right, not just in the dream, but in waking life. And like
follow our dreams.
Follow our dreams, definitely, dream a dream. And what's very dark, nice.
Yeah, it's like a little sense. We could get closer like this, bring your head into...
Oh yeah, alright.
Oh,
should we put on our sunglasses?
Candlelight.
Maybe. Just to see the darkness better, So, yes.
Dreams.
Like living your life like a dream. Living your life like a lucid dream,
Yeah.
Like I think the kind of goal, like, in a way, like just like you take it as exploration and a journey in love and to treat people well or whatever, but to kind of be able to like experience with that sense of peaceful adventure, like it's a dream, and which is literally true on a higher level. But anyway, just as, even if you don't believe in all that, well, your life will be better if you treat it like you're living in a dream. You got to go to work, you got to respect people, but yeah, you can like, just make it as dreamlike as you can. And you're going to find certain things that, I can't maybe manifest an apple out of nowhere. It takes time. But like, if you apply that mindset to it and live like, I think you start noticing a lot of very serendipitous, strange things as soon as you start doing that anyway. Okay.
For sure. You're like, Yeah, it's like law of attraction,
And Elon Musk thinks it's a simulation anyway, or whatever, many people do. But like, so
yeah, there's all that.
It's like, that's another theory on what's going on or whatever. But like, people who believe in that should also believe in dreams. Like the possibility that some weird collective dreams going on.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're just saying something. I forgot what it was before Elon Musk.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
About nightmares. Dreams.
What about nightmares?
Look at that peace that passes all understanding.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But maybe it was something to do
living
with
life like a lucid dream.
Yeah, living life like a lucid dream, exactly. So yeah, I think it's also just not taking it too seriously. Being like if it was a dream and you were stressing out the next day, maybe you wake up a bit stressed. But like if you reflected upon it, you would honestly probably have to admit, be like, that was kind of pointless to be stressed. Like it was a dream. Imagine if I just was like, or sometimes you have a certain opportunity and you choose one thing instead of the other, and you're like, oh man, should have done that in the dream. Like it was only a dream anyway. There was no danger, and I could have. What if they're like, hey, you want to get on the spaceship? Like, what would I have seen in the dream?
Yeah,
it would just be fun. Yeah. So that attitude of just being like, I'm not taking it too seriously. You got to care, but not that much. Where you can relax to just see the humor in life and enjoy. If it wasn't a lucid dream, that attitude, you probably want to just act with virtue and like good character, and treat people well and have fun and like be aware and in the moment, be like, hey, this is like a dream, you can kind of think of that with life. Be like,
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I'd say even to myself,
Yeah.
like I've awoken. You know, you could say I've awoken in a lucid dream. You know.
Yeah.
Or I've awoken in the dream. You know.
I've awoken in the dream.
As far as waking reality, because we are here and we exist, and like there's a lot of questions. A lot of people, you know, fair enough, just put it in the later box. But the other thing is, I've woken in a past life. If you do look into the reincarnation and all that, then not just the fact that I'm here, like I've woken in the dream, here I am, but also, is this going to be a past life in the future? That I'm going to be looking back on where I was Michael Blue in this time, and what would I have wanted to see there? And so these are the sort of things where with awareness, thinking where you go, you know, different spaces and times. But I'd say all for the magnifying of love, increasing of goodwill and love, you know, like more whatever different esoteric things we go through, or you know whatever it is, just enjoying ourselves more and more love.
Indeed, yeah.
Across time and space.
And I think for people who are maybe more like hesitant to get into it on like that kind of level, of people who maybe they find dreams interesting but like haven't really gone into it too much and might actually feel a certain hesitation for some reason, you know. I think it's important to point out that like you're not the contents of your mind, you're the soul, and the mind is just, you know, it's the brain you're born with and whatever the mind is on more abstract levels. And, you know, a lot of that's just that the history of the Big Bang continued and you've just woken up in the middle of it, and it started a long time before you, in a sense, you know. You know, a lot of your thoughts, you've got your free will if you can wake up. And, you know, that's all quite mysterious as well as mystical, you know, how free will works. But nonetheless, like, it seems like most of, you know, a lot of the stuff in our heads, or like, you know, all the stuff in our minds seemingly, is just the conditioning of the universe. And it's like, you don't have to take it so personally, you know. Do your best to be a good person and be responsible. And if you're being responsible, then you can completely forgive yourself for all the madness that comes up through nature. Like, look, nature's beautiful, but it's also like, you know, wolves eating deer, like, alive, you know, not starting from a very nice place, you know. And that's just part of the universe. And so there's all kinds of crazy stuff coming up in the universe within us, like thoughts, and it's just the monkey mind and the echoes of, you know, like eternity, and like just things, trauma through the ages, you know. And there's all these kinds of weird thoughts and, like, you know, tensions and things that can kind of get in the, you know, or cause certain weird dreams to manifest, you know, because there's all these primal energies in us, and as ancestral energies, or from our own life, things we've done, experiences, you know, desires, the shadow, what Jung called the shadow, right? Or has been called the shadow, what we kind of are unaware of or hide from, or, you know, the repressed kind of stuff. But to note, like, oh yeah, that's just stuff, it's my responsibility to deal with. But it's basically just like, you know, oh, I'm cleaning up the river, there's a bunch of leaves coming downstream and I need to keep the dam clear, or whatever, so I can see to the bottom of the water, you know. All right, just keep clearing it out, you know. And that's, or keep the river, you know, just clear, you know. And so if you can go, okay, all the weird stuff that comes up, like, say, you know, like say from me, I was feeling like, as we're reading, you know, yours, like a higher level of consciousness in general, the dreams, you know. And so I was like thinking, like, oh, interesting, you know. I felt like a little embarrassed at a point, you know, about my dreams. Like, oh my god, where are my cool dreams, you know, like they're in somewhere. But it's like, it doesn't actually matter, because it's just like, you know, we're all developing different levels and in different ways. But like that, all these things, you know, like you could just be aware of it and be like, oh yeah, cool. But there's nothing, you don't have to like freak out if you have a dream about some crazy stuff, you know. Just be like, oh yeah, well, I know like nature's crazy and my mind is part of nature, and so there's all these thoughts in there, and, you know, if you go into looking into the subconscious, you're going to find some crazy stuff. But the thing is, if you're holding back, the punchline is, if you're holding back from facing that and learning through it and becoming a better person, you know, and just dealing with it and not taking it so personally, or not being overwhelmed by it, just, you know, just face it and write it down, become more aware of it, you know, it gets better. If you're kind of cut off from doing that into your dream subconscious, why would you think that's not happening to your normal waking consciousness? And so it seems the same pattern is surely going to be operating in your normal life, where you're going to be repressing things and hiding from parts of yourself
And it's easier
and causing
to just
problems.
face it all.
It's the punchline. People think, yeah, but it's too hard to face. Ignorance is bliss. It's like, no, it's not true. It's a lie. Ignorance is comfort on one level, but from a high perspective, it's ignorance can be discomfort, but then there's a comfortable ignorance, so to speak. But even that's part of this greater. It's still discomfort from a bigger perspective. It's not peace yet, And so bliss is through truth and awareness.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get bliss. You can have pleasure. I think it's pleasure and bliss, maybe. Pleasure and pain are two sides of the same coin. But you only get to bliss through waking up and understanding. Here I am. Bliss is like the feeling of being awake, I guess, in a way. So I think as a kind of litmus test thing, or a way of getting the ball rolling, is okay. How am I dealing with my own things in my shadow in my normal life? Well, okay, just getting into dreams and keeping a daily dream journal, however long it is, and just write how I feel about what happened at the end or whatever, and just do that, and maybe try to explore lucid dreaming if you can get that aware in the dream. Then that's all going to pay all these dividends, not just for learning lessons in general, but kind of making you more aware of your subconscious and becoming a better person and living with more integrity, And so I think it's if you can do it with your dream, then that momentum's going to help you and raise you up. If you don't do it with your dream, then the momentum of that is affecting you. And at the end of the day, it's easiest just to face it and just be honest and be awake. And that's the crazy thing at the end, or at a certain stage of the journey, where it's like when you're on the kind of finally, I think, getting somewhere on the spiritual path, it's like realizing like, oh, this is the easiest way. Oh, that's why it's so powerful, like in a way. And there's like this saying, this Russian thing or something like, some Russian trainer or something had something like, easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. And kind of just doing what makes sense. It might require an energetic shift or something, or some sort of energy of some kind, in the moment, but then it's much easier. There's like an initial investment or input, and then just a huge, lucrative lucidity.
To be in, if your intention is to be in harmony with the universe, someone like, whatever, you make something and someone picks it up and drops it and it breaks, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And it's too late, nothing can happen. Having the serenity to let it go, this is examples of being in harmony with the universe in a simple way. But yeah, I think there is that like hard choices, easy life, that kind of thing. I think it's also like enjoying it, just trying to enjoy as much as possible. And then if we can find enjoyment even in the stuff where we feel triggered, or it's difficult, or whatever the case might be, and we're feeling less than great, if we can enjoy even that, then suddenly you've kind of zoomed out and you're watching the movie and you're like laughing, you're crying, you're eating popcorn or whatever. And you can, I think that's the incentive, that, to be a better person, but also just be a happier person. I think that's, if anyone's lacking purpose, that's a good goal. I try to just focus on that, really, just happiness, enjoying.
Yeah, I think there's many worthy goals. Like you could ground into like learning, or just happiness, or like love, like giving others happiness, maybe, or I don't know what, or like just connecting. But I think like that playful thing. Like there's some girl who had like this cognitive injury, and she used it's one of these twins. I can't remember, some Irish last name, Americans though. Sister's like a psychologist, I think, but who did some things with stress, and how approaching the stress the right way is like changed it into excitement. Anyway, but her twin sister had this injury to her head, and then she couldn't see bright lights and stuff. Everything was intense. Her world kind of got constricted, and shrank down. And then she started treating life like a game, like literally, and she kind of scaffolded it into like a video game thing. Like, okay, I get points for this. I have a daily goal. She set some rules, kind of thing. And she lived her life like a game, and she was able to be, okay, how many seconds can I stay, calm, looking with the neon lights of the supermarket today? She keep track of it and stuff, and she was able to expand her ability to engage with the world, and she healed herself, her brain, her injury somehow. Wow. and she was on the Rogan podcast talking perfectly, like lucidly about all this, like ages ago. And it's interesting, like, oh, like treating life like it's a game. You might think that would make you less productive and less competent, but it's the opposite, you know? And so it's like, if you want to take things seriously, you need to like lighten up, you know? So that's very interesting. But then I'd say, yeah, basically, like, Eckhart Tolle talks about, you know, 3 levels of, like, you know, suffering, but then 3 levels above that, there's acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. And, you know, I guess that's kind of just charting out, you know, different parts of the spectrum or whatever. But yeah, the idea of just like with acceptance, one interesting thing you talked about is how if you can't, you know, accepting, all you need to do is fully accept this moment right now. That's all you have to do. In your whole life, everything will fall perfectly into place if you do that. But it's a practice. You need to keep doing it and doing it. Yeah. And sometimes you might need other words to help you access that presence, you know. But that's a pretty good one to come back to regularly. Like, yeah, just fully accept this moment. This magic spell should work pretty well. Yeah. But he's saying, just go with the flow. Surrender. Indeed. And that saying, which requires a vigilance, you know, like a high energy state, but it's a very relaxed surrendering, letting go thing. But anyway, he talked about how, you know, if you can't accept it, you can, you know, I can't accept this moment. Okay, accept that you can't accept it. You know, and if you can't accept that, okay, just accept that you can't accept it. And just keep outflanking your mind. Be like, yeah, that's fine, no problem. No, you know, and it's in a basic level, it's the exact same thing. It's like your mind tricked you, and you go, oh yeah, and you just come back, pull back. It's just the arm wrestle going, and you can do that with enjoyment and enthusiasm. I think probably also it's just like you can, you know, there'll be wobbles in the thing, but the basic thing of the back and forth. But you can say, oh, overall, basically, what I'm doing here is I'm here to just have fun. You know, it doesn't need to be a progressing even. Just like, oh yeah, just. It's all about, you know, playfulness. I think that's quite powerful. You know? Yeah. Joy. Being in the moment. Yeah. A lot of what children naturally do. Yeah. Indeed. And elders naturally do. Well, you know, elders, not the elderly. Oh yes. Not old people. No. So, very good. All right. Well, that's pretty superficial, but you know, lighthearted, but concise investigation into dreams. A sober appraisal of dreaming. Indeed, I'd say I hope we have aroused and awakened much curiosity about the nature of sleep and the dreams body. And Hungry Jacks. Yeah. Well, great. So, do you remember that one about Om? Om? Yeah. The dream. Oh, well, just the song where we go Om. Oh yeah, it's a great song. It's a great dream also. Yeah. Maybe we should sing it and dream it. Dream it together. Very good. Thank you, James. Thank you, Mark, for being here. And thank you. Thank you, City. All right. Dream on. Wakefully.